Commander Elia's heart sat in the bridge of the scout ship Endurance, staring at the stars as if they held answers only humans could find. The hum of the ship's engines was steady, almost soothing, a constant reminder that no matter how far they traveled, the ship carried them safely across the void. Yet tonight, something unusual pierced the calm. A faint signal blinked on the communications panel. It was weak, almost lost in the vast background of space, but it carried a rhythm, a pattern. Hart leaned forward. "Bring it up. Let's see what we're dealing with." Then beneath the noise, a voice emerged, halting and trembling but unmistakably intelligent. "Help, Zythera 7 before it's too late." Most species would not survive a single day, and yet here was a plea for help. "Do we know who sent it?" Hart asked. "They're not human," Chen replied. "It's an alien language, but the signal is structured. They're intelligent but weak, physically fragile. Whatever's happening, they can't handle it themselves." He had faced danger before, but there was something in the desperation of that voice that stirred the core of human instinct. Humans were explorers, problem solvers, and above all, helpers when it counted. That was who they were. "Set a course for Zythera 7, he said finally. "We can't ignore this." During that time, the crew prepared, studying every scrap of data about the Deathworld they could find. Reports of massive predators, shifting landscapes, and unpredictable weather filled the ship's database. But nothing could capture the reality until they arrived. When Zythera 7 finally came into view, it was a planet of contradictions. From orbit, it looked almost beautiful, lush forests, shimmering lakes, and towering mountains. But scanning revealed a far harsher truth: toxins in the atmosphere, energy fluctuations, and life forms with extreme lethality. The sensors even struggled to distinguish between sentient beings and predators. "Atmospheric toxicity levels are severe," Chen reported. "Even our filtered suits won't protect us for long if we're exposed." The shuttle's thrusters churned up red-brown dust as it descended into a narrow canyon, one of the only places the sensors indicated the aliens might have survived. The walls of the canyon were jagged and steep, and the wind carried a faint but corrosive mist. One wrong step could end their mission before it even began. When the ramp lowered, the first thing Hart noticed was the silence. Not the silence of a peaceful planet, but the eerie silence that comes before everything erupts in chaos. They moved cautiously, weapons ready, scanning the terrain. Then movement caught Chen's eye. "Over there," she whispered, pointing. A small group of alien figures emerged from behind jagged rocks. They were slight, almost delicate, with translucent skin that shimmered faintly in the light. Their eyes were large and wide, filled with fear and confusion. Their language was rapid, full of clicks and tones, but when Hart activated the universal translator, the message became clear. "Help they come, they will eat us." "Form a perimeter," he ordered. "Keep them safe, keep moving forward, we're getting them out of here." The humans responded instantly. Using stun rifles and careful coordination, they diverted the creature, forcing it back into the canyon, giving the aliens a moment of safety. Hart felt a surge of pride mixed with tension. Humans were not the largest, the fastest, or the strongest species in the galaxy, but their ingenuity, coordination, and courage allowed them to face threats that would have ended others. Even here in a death world, they adapted. "Follow me," Hart called. "We'll take the path along the ridges. It's risky, but it's our only chance." One of them, taller than the others, stepped forward, hands trembling. Through the translator, they spoke. "You survive on this world." Acid rain started to fall, sizzling against the human suits, but less harmful than it would be to the aliens. Falling rocks, unseen predators, and sudden shifts in the terrain kept them constantly alert. One of the younger crew members, Lieutenant Raffi, pointed toward a narrow cliffside path. "We can cross there. It's exposed, but it's the fastest route." It was narrow, winds strong, but the alternative would be moving through predator territory. "We take the cliff. Watch each step." But the planet was not done testing them. A massive shadow passed overhead, blocking the sun. Hart looked up. A flying predator, wings wide enough to darken the canyon, descended with a screech. Its beak was sharp and its talons were long. The humans opened fire, but the creature was fast, almost too fast to track. It circled, testing them. Hart realized something. Brute force alone would not save them. They had to use the terrain, the predator's instincts, and their own quick thinking. He pointed to a cluster of jagged rocks. "Lead it over the rocks. It can't maneuver there easily." The flying predator struck the rocks instead of the group, giving them a narrow window to escape. As they reached a safer plateau, the aliens paused. Their large-eyed leader looked at Hart and spoke with awe. You are strong in ways we cannot understand. We do what we must to protect life. We're not just here to survive, we're here to save you. But we'll need to move fast, follow our lead, and stay alert. Everything can change in a moment. We survive, yes, but we also protect. We do not turn away from life in danger. You called for help and we came. That is what humans do. As night fell on Zythera 7, the canyon glowed with phosphorescent moss, strange insects flitting through the air. The humans and aliens huddled together, sharing warmth and quiet. They knew the dangers were far from over, that the death world would not yield easily. But in that moment they were a team, united by courage, resilience, and the indomitable will to survive. Commander Hart looked up at the alien sky, the stars unfamiliar but beautiful. "We've only just begun," he said softly. "Tomorrow we move forward, together we face the impossible, and we will survive." Dawn on Zythera 7 arrived with a haze of greenish mist that hung low over the canyon. Commander Elia's heart woke first, as always, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him like gravity itself. Around him, his crew and the alien survivors stirred, quiet and alert. Every movement carried caution, every sound could mean danger. Hart scanned the plateau. From here, he could see the canyon stretching toward the alien colony. The jagged cliffs rose like ancient walls, while deep shadows hid creatures he could not identify. The planet's atmosphere felt almost alive, pulsing with unseen menace. Yet there was hope. They had survived the night, and that was already a victory. Lieutenant Mara Chen approached, holding the portable scanner. "We've analyzed the plateau. The aliens' colony is further down the canyon. Based on the scans, it's still intact. But the predators, they are everywhere. Movement patterns suggest hunting groups, some larger than we anticipated. The aliens are counting on us." Survival was not a simple idea in their culture. Danger meant immediate death, not strategic thinking. Yet Hart had already seen a spark in their eyes, a willingness to try, to learn, to trust. The humans and aliens set out, descending along the narrow paths carved into the canyon. Every step was a challenge. Loose rocks threatened to send them tumbling into the abyss, and the mist hid the silhouettes of predators stalking them from afar. Hart led from the front, rifle ready, his eyes scanning constantly. It was Lieutenant Raffi who first spotted the movement. "3 of them heading this way, fast, very fast." He pointed toward the shadows. Hart's heart tightened. The predators were large, quadrupedal creatures with armor-like scales, teeth sharp enough to crush metal, and claws that could shred rock. They were not just hunters. They were perfection incarnate, evolved to kill everything that dared walk in their territory. "Spread out," Hart ordered. "Keep low, move silently, use the terrain. Don't let them see us all at once." The aliens whispered, their voices trembling. Hart knelt and held up a hand. "Silence, trust us." He darted to the side, using his knowledge of the land to create an advantage. A fallen rock slide sent the predator stumbling into a crevice, buying precious seconds. The aliens stared in awe. Their minds had never conceived of creatures using the environment as weapons. They had relied on strength and speed, but humans combined courage with thought, turning weakness into advantage. As the team continued, another predator appeared, even larger than the first. Its scales shimmered like molten metal, and its eyes glowed with predatory intelligence. The aliens froze, unable to comprehend the threat. Hart grabbed one of them gently. "Move with us. Watch, learn, survive." Chen and Raffi used portable energy nets to corral the beast toward a narrow cliffside path. Hart and 2 others moved behind it, guiding it into the trap. The predator struggled, roaring, but it could not maneuver in the confined space. Using coordinated pulses and gravity-aided traps, they subdued the creature without killing it. The aliens watched, amazement mixed with gratitude. "We cannot do this," one whispered. Hart shook his head. "Yes, you can, but you must observe, think, and trust. Fear alone will not save you." Yet survivors had made barricades using native materials, small but ingenious. The aliens rushed to their kin, embracing where they could, scanning for injuries. Humans stayed back, assessing threats and preparing for the worst. Hart knew this was only the beginning. The colony was weak, the predators were numerous, and Zythera 7 did not forgive mistakes. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed across the canyon. Hart's sensors picked up movement, a group of predators larger than anything they had seen, moving toward the colony with coordinated intent. These were apex hunters, intelligent and dangerous. "Everyone inside the central structure," Hart ordered. "Form barricades, protect the aliens. We will buy them time." The beasts attacked from all sides, claws striking walls, teeth snapping at anything that moved. Hart and his team moved strategically, drawing the predators into traps, guiding them into energy nets, and creating opportunities for the aliens to escape deeper into the colony. One of the humans, a young engineer named Salic, rigged a sequence of explosive charges to collapse a section of rock, channeling several predators into a confined space where they could be neutralized. The sound of the blasts echoed across the canyon, but it worked. The predators were slowed, and the colony held, at least for now. Amid the battle, Hart noticed the alien leader coordinating others, signaling and directing them in a way that mirrored human tactics. He allowed himself a small moment of pride. The aliens were learning. They were adapting. Survival was no longer about instinct alone. It was about intelligence, strategy, and courage. Hours passed, and the immediate threat subsided. The canyon fell silent again, the predators retreating into the shadows. The humans and aliens were exhausted but alive. The colony had survived, battered but intact. Hart gathered the group. "This is not the end," he said. "Scythera 7 will keep testing us, but today we learned something important. We can survive together." Humans and aliens, side by side, even on a death world. Today, we all survived because we chose to act, not run. He knew the planet would continue to challenge them, and the apex predators would return, stronger and more coordinated. Yet he also knew that humans, Deathworlders by choice, explorers by nature, would not falter. They had survived the first day, and they would survive the next. And somewhere in the dark canyons, hidden predators watched, learning of the new arrivals. They had never faced beings who thought, planned, and adapted with such determination. The hunt had only begun, but the game had changed. For the first time, the aliens felt something they had never known, hope. And for humans, hope was always accompanied by action. The real battle for Scythera 7 was just beginning, and Commander Hart intended to lead his team through every danger, every predator, every impossible challenge that awaited them. The sun barely broke over the jagged cliffs of Scythera 7, casting long shadows across the alien colony. Commander Elias Hart stood on a ridge overlooking the settlement, scanning the terrain with his portable scanner. The night had been quiet, almost unnervingly so, but Hart knew better than to trust silence on a death world. The predators were out there, watching, learning, and waiting for their next opportunity. Lieutenant Mara Chen approached, carrying a data tablet. "The scans are alarming. Predator activity increased overnight. They seem to be adapting to our tactics. Some of the larger ones may be apex hunters, coordinating attacks. You fight to live. We have never seen this. We hide, we survive, but never like this. Can we help?" Some would strengthen the colony's defenses. Others would set traps in the canyon and along predator pathways. The humans' experience combined with the aliens' knowledge of the terrain gave them a tactical advantage. Even the smallest alien creatures had an instinct for survival, which, when guided by humans, could be used strategically. The first task was setting traps along the canyon slopes. Hart led a team down a narrow pass, placing energy nets and explosive charges where predators were likely to run. Lieutenant Raffi and Salic worked quickly, improvising as the terrain shifted beneath them. Hart explained every move to the aliens, who repeated the instructions to each other, learning quickly how to use natural features to their advantage. "This rock formation," Hart said, pointing to a jagged cluster, "creates a funnel. Predators can run fast, but they can't turn quickly here. That's where we'll trap them." Hart froze, sensing the approach of something massive. Out of the mist came a group of predators, larger and faster than any they had encountered before. Their scales shimmered, reflecting the dim sunlight like liquid metal, and their eyes glowed with intelligence. These were the apex predators. Hart gestured for silence. "Move to the traps. Do not engage until I give the signal. Watch their behavior, learn and trust the plan." The beast roared in frustration, thrashing violently, but it was caught long enough to prevent it from attacking. The aliens gasped, awed by the humans' tactics. "We have never done this," one whispered. "You will," Hart replied. "Today you learn, today you fight." A series of energy pulses, timed precisely with falling rocks, created a narrow path leading the predators into a gorge. Hart and Chen coordinated the timing, signaling Salic and the aliens to monitor and adjust. The predators hesitated, then surged forward, forced into the channel. Rocks fell, energy pulses activated, and several predators were trapped or injured without lethal force. The humans moved alongside the aliens, guiding them to help where they could. One alien lifted a heavy rock using simple levers Hart had shown them, blocking a predator's path. Another used a rope-like vine to trip a predator, sending it tumbling into the gorge. Each small success built their confidence and strengthened their bond with the humans, but the apex predators were cunning. One massive creature broke free, roaring with fury, and charged directly toward the colony. Hart fired a stun pulse, but the creature barely slowed. He realized they were dealing with intelligence, not instinct alone. The predator studied them, adapting to tactics, and the humans had to think faster. "Use the terrain," Hart shouted. "Lead it to the cliff edge." The humans and aliens regrouped, breathing heavily but energized by the victory. "We are learning," the alien leader said, his voice filled with wonder. We are not just hiding. We can fight like you." A sudden roar split the air, louder than any before. From the canyon depths, a massive swarm of mid-sized predators emerged, faster and more coordinated than the previous ones. They moved like a single organism, driven by instinct but guided by intelligence. Hart's eyes narrowed. They had underestimated the numbers and coordination. "Defend the colony," Hart commanded. "Aliens, stay with the humans. Follow orders, do not panic." Energy pulses, falling rocks, and improvised weapons slowed the predators, while aliens helped by using vines, rocks, and their knowledge of the terrain to redirect them. Hart moved through the chaos, issuing orders, guiding the team, and personally intervening when danger was imminent. He rescued an alien caught under debris, directing another to assist, all while keeping an eye on the predators' movements. The humans' courage and intelligence were evident. The aliens began to understand that survival was more than running. It was thinking, adapting, and acting decisively. Hours passed, and the battle reached a critical moment. The apex predator from earlier had returned, larger and angrier, coordinating the swarm. Hart realized that to save the colony, they needed to take bold action. He signaled Chen and Raffi. "We lure it into the trap. Everything depends on timing. Are you ready?" Using a combination of energy pulses, baited paths, and environmental manipulation, they drew the apex predator toward a natural pitfall hidden in the mist. The aliens assisted, positioning rocks and vines to guide the creature precisely. The predator surged forward, massive jaws snapping, claws tearing at anything in its path. Hart fired a final pulse, stunning it just long enough for it to lose balance and fall into the pit. Silence fell over the canyon. The swarm of mid-sized predators hesitated, leaderless and confused. The humans and aliens took a moment to catch their breath. Victory had been hard-won, but the colony was still standing. The aliens gathered around Hart, awe and gratitude shining in their eyes. You are not like anything we imagined," the leader said. "You face death and you teach us to fight. You change everything." The aliens practiced human techniques, learning to use terrain and traps, understanding that intelligence and courage could offset physical weakness. Small victories built confidence, and the bond between humans and aliens strengthened. As night fell again, the canyon was quiet. Hart stood on a ridge, watching the stars. Zythera 7 had tested them, tried to break them, but humans had adapted, survived, and taught others to do the same. The apex predators were not gone. They would return stronger and smarter. But now the humans and aliens had a fighting chance. Hart thought about the days ahead. The real challenge was not just survival. It was teaching the aliens to survive alongside humans, to embrace courage and intelligence in a world designed to kill. The Deathworld would not forgive mistakes, but humans had learned long ago how to turn fear into action, danger into strategy, and hopeless situations into victories. For the first time, the aliens looked at humans not as fragile beings who wandered into danger, but as a species capable of turning impossible odds into triumph. And for Hart and his crew, that recognition was the most important reward of all. Somewhere in the shadows, the apex predators stirred. They had learned too, observing, adapting. But the humans and aliens were ready. Together they had faced the impossible, and they had survived. Zythera 7 was far from conquered, far from safe, but the battle for the canyon had been won. Tomorrow would bring new threats, but for now, humans and aliens rested, their trust in each other deepened, their courage reaffirmed, and their bond forged in the fires of survival. And high above the jagged cliffs, unseen by either species, the first glimmers of a larger danger began to take shape. A threat that would challenge every lesson they had learned, every ounce of courage they possessed, and force humans and aliens to truly become partners in survival on a death world that refused to forgive weakness. The sun rose again over Zythera 7, spilling a pale light over the jagged cliffs and the alien colony. Commander Elia's heart surveyed the settlement from a high ridge, his eyes scanning every movement in the canyon below. The events of the past 2 days had taught him that this planet was alive in its danger. Every creature, every storm, every shifting rock part of a system designed to kill. The predators were intelligent, coordinated, and relentless. The humans could survive, yes, but only if they became smarter, faster, and more daring than the world around them. Hart turned to Lieutenant Mara Chen and Salak. "We've learned a lot," he said, "but the predators will not stop. Today we take the fight to them. We prepare the colony and the canyon for a defense they can't break, and we teach the aliens to stand with us. Every moment counts. Today you learn what it means to survive on a death world. We will do it together." For the first time, they were not passive victims. They were participants in their own survival. One of the first tasks was reinforcing the perimeter. The canyon's natural walls gave some protection, but there were too many paths for predators to reach the colony unchallenged. The humans and aliens worked together, using rocks, vines, and energy barriers to create a network of choke points. Small tunnels became ambush zones. Fallen boulders were positioned as automatic traps, designed to fall when predators crossed certain paths. Hart and Chen demonstrated how timing, patience, and observation could turn the terrain itself into a weapon. Meanwhile, Hart and a small team scouted further down the canyon to locate predator nests. The goal was simple but dangerous: understand the enemy, anticipate movements, and create escape routes if needed. The canyon was treacherous, every step threatening collapse or attack. Hart moved with precision, signaling the aliens to follow and remain calm. Every predator they spotted was noted, every trail mapped. By mid-afternoon, the humans had a clear understanding of the canyon's ecosystem. Apex predators, the largest and most intelligent of the creatures, led hunting packs. Mid-sized predators were fast, aggressive, and coordinated, while smaller predators acted as scouts or distractions. Hart realized the key to survival was disrupting this chain, creating confusion among the predators while giving humans and aliens clear advantages. Hart gathered the aliens in a central courtyard. "Listen carefully," he said. "We cannot fight every predator at once. We use traps, terrain, and teamwork. When we attack, we do it as one. Watch, learn, and act together. Fear is natural, but panic is deadly. You have courage in you already. Today, you show it." Energy pulses created barriers, forcing others to take paths that had been planned as ambush zones. The aliens moved beside the humans, guiding predators, tripping them, and helping to enforce the strategy. Every success strengthened their confidence. Then came the apex predator. Its massive body cast a shadow over the colony, scales glittering, eyes glowing with intelligence. It studied the humans and aliens, testing them. Hart knew this was the moment of truth. If they hesitated, the predator would strike with devastating force. "Move!" Hart shouted. The humans lured the predator along a path lined with boulders rigged to collapse at precise moments. The aliens assisted, pushing obstacles into place and signaling timing. The apex predator lunged, powerful jaws snapping, but it misjudged the terrain. Rocks fell around it, energy nets tangled its limbs, and it roared in frustration, trapped temporarily in a gorge designed by humans. The humans pressed the advantage. Hart led a team to flank the predator, firing coordinated pulses to keep it off balance. The aliens, now confident, guided smaller predators into traps, demonstrating understanding of strategy Hart had taught. The predator struggled, but the humans' intelligence and the aliens' cooperation gave them control. Hours passed and the battle escalated. Predators attacked from all sides, relentless in their pursuit of the colony. Yet humans and aliens moved with unity, setting traps, luring predators, and responding to each threat with precision. Even when exhausted, they never hesitated, never panicked. Every predator neutralized or redirected was a victory, every mistake corrected quickly through teamwork. As the night deepened, Hart knew the apex predator was learning. It had survived traps and attacks, studied human patterns, and was adapting. They could not rely on the same tactics again. Hart signaled Chen and Raffi. "We need the final strategy. Everything we've learned, every path, every trap, we use it now. This is the ultimate test. The predator is smart, but we are smarter." Humans and aliens would coordinate every movement, timing pulses, rock falls, and natural barriers to force the predators into submission without unnecessary killing. The predators appeared, more coordinated than ever. The humans advanced with careful precision, with aliens following every instruction. Hart drew the apex predator along the path, careful to avoid direct confrontation until the traps were ready. The smaller predators rushed ahead, unaware of the funnel waiting for them. At the critical moment, Hart triggered the first sequence. Boulders fell, energy nets activated, and vines shifted to redirect the predators. The apex predator surged forward but miscalculated the path. It fell into the trap, struggling against a combination of terrain, human strategy, and alien assistance. Hart and his team advanced carefully, keeping the predator contained, while the aliens blocked escape routes. The humans had taught the aliens how to act decisively. Together, they immobilized the apex predator long enough to neutralize the immediate threat. The remaining predators, leaderless and confused, fled into the canyon, leaving the colony momentarily safe. Hart took a deep breath, exhaustion heavy but satisfaction stronger. "We did it," he said. "This is what humans do. We face the impossible, we adapt, and we survive. And now you have learned it too. You teach us hope." The apex predator was gone for now, but Hart knew it would return, smarter and more cunning. Yet the humans and their alien allies had gained something far more important: confidence, unity, and the knowledge that even on a death world they could fight back. By morning, the canyon seemed less hostile. The predators still prowled, but the humans had changed the rules. The aliens moved with purpose, carrying out tasks they would have thought impossible 2 days ago. The colony was stronger, the humans had led, and the aliens had followed, learning to think and act strategically. Hart stood on the ridge, looking down at the canyon floor. The sun illuminated the scars of battle, the carefully placed traps, and the new structures built for defense. Zythera 7 was far from safe, but humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and collaboration could overcome even the deadliest environment. Somewhere deep in the canyon, the apex predator stirred. It had survived, and it had learned. But humans and aliens had learned more. The death world had tested them, but it had not broken them. Together they had faced the impossible, and together they had survived. For the first time, the aliens truly understood the power of humanity, a species small in size but immense in courage, capable of turning fear into action, danger into strategy, and the most hopeless situations into opportunities to survive and thrive. Hart looked to the sky. Zythera 7 would continue to challenge them, but humans were ready. They had taught the aliens to fight, to plan, to survive. And when the apex predators returned, they would not face humans alone. They would face humans and allies who had learned to think like them, to act like them, and to survive beside them. The real test was yet to come, but Hart knew one truth: humans on a death world were unstoppable when they faced the impossible together. And the galaxy had never seen anything like that before. The night on Zythera 7 was unusually quiet, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Commander Elia's Hart stood on the ridge above the alien colony, surveying the terrain. Every shadow could conceal a predator, every sound might signal an attack. But unlike previous nights, there was a new sense of calm, not peace but readiness. The humans and their alien allies had learned to survive together, and now they were preparing for the final confrontation. Lieutenant Mara Chen approached, her scanner in hand. "Commander, the apex predator is moving. It's leading the remaining pack toward the colony. They are coordinated and intelligent. If we wait too long, it will strike. That is how we win." Humans and aliens worked side by side, reinforcing barricades, positioning traps, and coordinating strategies. The humans guided the aliens to choke points in the canyon, where predators could be funneled and contained. Energy nets, falling rocks, and improvised pulleys were placed at precise points. Even the youngest aliens helped, guided by the humans' instructions, their fear replaced by determination. From the ridge, Hart spotted movement in the canyon below. The apex predator and its pack emerged from the shadows, eyes glowing, muscles rippling, intelligence clear in every movement. They had learned from previous encounters and were cautious, circling the colony like hunters measuring their prey. Hart raised his hand. "Now, execute the plan." Mid-sized predators followed, unaware of the dangers awaiting them. The humans moved with precision, guiding, trapping, and controlling the battlefield. The aliens played a crucial role. One used a thick vine to trip a predator charging the barricade. Another rolled boulders into narrow paths, preventing predators from flanking the humans. Hart watched, impressed. These creatures had been terrified and helpless just days ago, but now they were confident, moving strategically and contributing to the defense. The apex predator roared, a sound that shook the canyon walls. It lunged forward, its massive jaws snapping at Hart and his team. but the humans anticipated its movement. Hart dodged, firing another pulse that pushed the creature toward a narrow cliffside. At the same moment, the aliens triggered a trap that released a cascade of rocks, forcing the predator to stumble and fall into a deep pit prepared earlier. The remaining predators hesitated, confused by the traps and the humans' coordination. Hart seized the moment. Push forward. Drive them into the final trap. Hours passed, the night filled with roars, crashes, and the hum of energy pulses. Every predator was neutralized without unnecessary killing, their movements controlled and redirected. Hart's team worked tirelessly, communicating in gestures, signals, and short commands. The aliens had learned quickly, anticipating human strategies and assisting in real time. Finally, the apex predator attempted a last desperate charge, lunging at the barricade where Hart and Chen stood. Hart sidestepped, directing the creature toward the gorge. The aliens released a final trap, a series of vines and rocks that sent the predator tumbling into the containment zone. It thrashed but was unable to escape. The pack followed, trapped, immobilized, and finally subdued. Silence fell over the canyon. The humans and aliens were exhausted, sweat and dirt streaked across their bodies, but alive. The colony stood intact, the predators neutralized, and the lessons of survival had been hard-earned. The alien leader approached Hart, eyes wide with gratitude. You have saved us. You taught us courage, strategy, survival. We owe you everything." They had learned from humans how to take impossible odds and turn them into survival. The humans began helping the colony rebuild. Structures were reinforced, medical care was provided, and teaching continued. The aliens learned not just how to survive, but how to thrive on a planet designed to kill. Every trap, every barricade, every strategy became part of their knowledge. Hart walked through the colony, observing the humans and aliens working together. Children, alien and human, moved carefully around the traps, practicing safety. Adults carried materials and learned new techniques. Even the weakest aliens were gaining confidence. Hart felt a surge of pride. Humanity had not only survived, but had inspired a new hope, a new ability in another species to face danger without fear. As night fell once more, the canyon seemed calm. The predators were contained, but Hart knew they were still alive, watching, learning. Scythera 7 had tested them at every turn, but the humans had adapted, taught others, and survived. The apex predators would not be forgotten, but they had been shown that humans were not easily defeated. Hart looked to the stars, thinking of the vast galaxy beyond. Humanity had come far, facing dangers no other species might dare. Here, on a death world, they had survived, led, and inspired. The aliens had seen what humans were capable of: courage, intelligence, and the relentless will to act when others might freeze. The alien leader approached again. "Will you leave now?" Humanity does not leave behind allies in danger. We only leave when they are ready. The canyon stretched wide and dangerous, but it was no longer an impossible place. The humans had faced the death world, survived, and inspired another species to do the same. That was what humanity did. They did not just survive. They made others strong, taught courage, and turned hopeless situations into triumph. The stars stretched endlessly before them. New worlds awaited, new challenges, new calls for help. Hart knew that humanity would answer everyone, as they always did, with courage, intelligence, and the relentless will to survive. And somewhere below, in the shadows of Scythera 7, the predators waited, learning. But the humans and aliens had already changed the rules. They had shown that even on a death world, survival was possible when courage and intelligence worked together. Hart settled into his seat as the shuttle moved into orbit. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but humanity had proven once again that it was capable of facing any challenge. And somewhere on Scythera 7, a new hope had been born, not just in survival, but in the understanding that courage, intelligence, and teamwork could overcome even the deadliest of worlds. The mission was complete. The colony was safe. The aliens were alive, stronger, and wiser. And humans had once again shown why they were a species to be reckoned with, a species who faced death, defied the impossible, and inspired hope in even the most fragile of beings. Scythera 7 was still a death world, but thanks to humanity, it was no longer a world without hope.